New solutions to our problems without due consideration would be disappointing and fiscally irresponsible, and ultimately it undermines our ability to navigate challenges with sound judgment and strategic foresight. To be more specific, two significant developments compel us to reconsider our approach. Firstly, we have recently appointed Mr. Jason Maguire as Yass Valley Council's Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Maguire comes to us with over 30 financial management roles. As a fellow certified practicing accountant with substantial experience in the public sector, he is exceptionally qualified to provide the oversight and strategic financial direction that this organisation requires. Not only that, but to me, speaks to his character and professionalism. Secondly, prior to our departure for the Christmas break in December, we had a meeting where councillors and executive staff received the detailed consultants on the council's current financial position. Well, it is regrettable that this information was not provided sooner. Dismissing its validity or calling for further external reviews would be neither responsible nor just. Another external consultant is required to verify that what we already know is not a demonstration of due diligence. It is an egregious misuse of ratepayers' funds. The reality is that Yass Valley Council is under significant financial strain, and commissioning another report will not change that irrefutable fact. Our focus must now shift from assessment to action. We have a highly capable CFO whose mandate is to provide expert financial guidance and to work collaboratively with the elected body to implement strategies for long-term financial stability. It is essential that we allow Mr. Maguire to fulfil the role for which he has been selected, rather than seeking further external validation of information that has already been provided. Additionally, I firmly support, in the interest of full transparency, the release of the financial information presented to us as councillors prior to Mr. Maguire's appointment. This will provide clarity to the community and ensure that all stakeholders have access to the same factual insights, and I implore my fellow councillors to support this disclosure. I also wish to address concerns within the community regarding the apportioning. We must remain forward-thinking and committed to a collaborative approach that will secure the financial stability of the Yass Valley. Madam Mayor, fellow councillors, let us not be distracted by dissenting rhetoric. As a community, our collective priority must be ensuring the long-term financial viability of the Yass Valley. This requires a willingness to engage in robust discussions and to make difficult yet necessary decisions that will set us on a trajectory towards greater financial security. As elected representatives, we must explore innovative avenues to new business opportunities that increase council's cash flow. We live in a society that values entrepreneurial and strategic economic planning. We must apply that same methodology to council operations. This is not merely a challenge, it is an opportunity to recalibrate.
Yes, yeah, I think that should be okay. We'll just discuss that with UHY as they did the presentation, but I think, yes, and I think in the interest of transparency, that's a good idea.
Councillors, do you want to amend your motion to include that Executive seeks support from UHY to release that, or are you happy to just take that will happen?
Yeah. So
CFO services support to release the December. So yeah. You just got elevated. All right. If the mover and the seconder are happy with that. Okay. Do you have any speakers against the motion? Councillor Cameron. Sorry, could you identify if you're speaking for or against them, please?
Point of order. This alternate motion, I like the fact that it's an honest attempt to do something honest, in the sense that point one is a rescission motion. I'd like to point out that a rescission motion needs to go through a particular process, and therefore I don't think this is a valid topic for debate at this stage. My dissenting motion, and I have the right to reply.
So if you're going to then move to a motion of no confidence in the chair,
No, just move the motion of dissent.
Okay, all right. So councillors, would you like to vote in favour of the point of order that is a motion of dissent from my ruling in regards to that this motion is legal? Actually, I should probably ask for the governance advice, since we actually have a governance advisor here. So Sorry, Ms. Whitmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an acceptable alternative to a rescission motion. I note that councillors unanimously supported the recommendation that was put forward in November. Action has already commenced in relation to that. The character of this recommendation, or this motion is now on the floor, is in response to a progress update on action in relation to the November resolution. Therefore, it is a reasonable position change direction as indicated by speakers in favour of the motion. It's not strictly correct to say that it's a complete rescission, and there are other requirements for lodging rescission motions which don't fit the current timeframe. If you're really concerned about getting moving on this and ensuring that everybody understands what's going on here, this is a much more efficient and effective approach to addressing that concern.
Right. Well, I'll respond. I presume that that's your speech in favour of or against my dissenting motion.
Councillor Cameron, I've listened to your option of dissent, and I don't believe that we're in a situation where we have a rescission motion by stealth or anything like that. I think we have a superseding motion because of the actions that have taken place since. I'll just seek some further advice.
We need to vote.
This pretty much, we just need to immediately vote on
Thanks,
the
Madam.
motion.
It will be, the councillor needs to move a motion from the floor and have that considered by the councillors.
Okay.
No, I withdraw.
You withdraw, okay. Thank you, councillor Cameron. All right, do we have any more speakers for the motion? Oh, sorry, councillor Cameron,
Yeah.
would you like now to speak against the motion?
Absolutely,
I saw
and
your
I
hand
won't take
raised.
much time
Okay.
because I think, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just extremely disappointed to find myself here today at an extraordinary meeting. And I don't know why an extraordinary meeting needed to be called, as far as I'm concerned. On November the 28th, as Councillor Cherry made a comment, Mayor Jones presented a mayoral motion for an independent review of Yass Valley Council's true financial position, which passed unanimously with the support of all councillors. Yes, we did have an update from the de facto CFO or the contracted CFOs, basically saying the particular situation the day before the December council meeting. The people who are moving this current motion basically said, "Oh, we've got to get going on this. November motion," and they spoke very strongly after I'd raised it in the minutes. So I find it a little bit strange that we're now in a different sort of situation. So we find ourselves back here because basically Yass Valley Council has yet to implement this motion 2 months later. We've taken 2 months to do effectively a little bit of work on the scope, which I thought was quite reasonable, but we haven't done anything about sort of getting people in to have a look at our financial affairs. If it had been implemented in a timely manner, which is an important consideration as per the Local Government Act, this completed review could have been presented to our February Council, and importantly provide a basis for our new CFO and CEO going forward into the future and dealing with the issues that the mover of the motion talked about. So we would have had a basis of information. As somebody said to me, we would have had a floorboard in the building that we could move on from and do the rest of the construction. And I think at this stage, I don't think we are really in the situation of knowing exactly where we're at. From my point of view, this council has demonstrated its inability to make and implement its key decisions. We had a job to do, and I stress that, we had a job to do supported by all councillors, and we have just failed to do it. In my mind, this is a complete breach of trust with the Yass Valley community. Thank you.
Councillors, do we have any further speakers? In that case, I will actually ask a question of our new CFO, Mr. Jason Maguire. If I could get your comments regarding the previous scope and the actions that you've seen and your assessment of the situation, and whether the alternate motion before us, different from the report motion, will satisfy what you see as the next steps council needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think the commentary from Councillor Cherry, and as mentioned, I've got 35 years' experience in financial and resource management across state government and federal government, most recently federal government, and, please don't hear me, and I do welcome and feel honoured to be engaged as CFO here at Yass Valley Council, and yes, there are some challenges which are quite evident, and with a range of discussions with the acting CEO, so I've come in eyes wide open, but I do believe there is a way forward on how we can improve our financial sustainability. It will take some time. It will take 1, 2, 3 years as we improve our systems, improve our processes. The items mentioned in Councillor Carter's alternate motion will help us there. But in terms of the scope that was originally presented to Council on the 23rd, I think it was 23rd of December, I'll just briefly go through. So, and some of this has been talked about already. So, to take a deep dive review of Council's financial assets and service budget. So, as mentioned, we've got the 23-24 completed financial statements. They've been audited by the New South Wales Audit Office with an unqualified opinion. Yes, there were some recommendations where we need to improve, but you always get that from audits, and there are a number of items that we do need to improve going forward. So my view is that to do a further deep dive on the statements, that would duplicate the effort that's already been undertaken. And in terms of that true financial position, you take the audited financial statements as this is where we're at, and then we move and work from there. If you look at sort of the cash position, that's in C1 on page 29, which really says our cash reserve, once you take out the externally restricted funds and the internally restrictions, is about $55,000 as at the end of June. We need to improve that position going forward. We know that. And then, so that's an action that's come across on that point A of that review. And then the presentation by UHY on the 18th of December, which I tuned in by video link, further re-ascertained that is our position, and yes, going forward, we need to look at our sustainability going forward, looking at our work program and how we expend our funds. In terms of the reviewing domestic waste management financial budgets and long term, and that links into also how we allocate. So that's still there, and that's supported in the new scope, and it's something that I've identified as well that we need to do, and has been advised to me by staff of council. So that's important that we do that. So we're allocating, I believe we're allocating direct sort of staff costs across those funds, but it's the corporate and enabling services costs that we need to apportion. So it's moving from the general fund into those funds so you're reporting appropriately, which then helps you unrestricted and restricted reserves. Assessing the current debt levels, I can undertake that as CFO, and then look at the recommended ratios that Office of Local Government advised, and then going forward how we can reduce those debt levels going forward. And then also, as Councillor Carter said, can we look at our loan arrangements to get a better interest rate? And then going forward, I think we can for some asset sales and apply for some grant funds that can actually help reduce that loan, those loans. And that should help our financial sustainability and reduce our interest costs on borrowings going forward. I think documenting the factors contributing to Council's current financial position, I think we are where we are. Yes, there were decisions and so forth that came before. Let's not look back, let's look forward. And I think we're sort of aware where there could be improvements in that space. And that also looks at what are our financial settings as well. I go to point E, which is the assessment of whether we should consider refinancing the Crago Mill precinct. Yes, we should have that, and we can make decisions on that going forward. It probably doesn't need to be in this review. We know we need to probably do that, and we can undertake going forward how we do that. In terms of the postponement of stages, I'll take advice on that, but my experience in major property projects is if you stall or stop and then you restart, it might actually cost more. But you need to undertake an assessment to make that decision. Identifying the funding gaps, again, that's as we sort of improve the information that we have, and as I settle in as CFO and understand the business more, we can identify those as well. But also linking it through to what are the priorities of council, the priorities of the community strategic plan. And again, producing a sustainability assessment report, that's probably gaining the information that we have so we can make that assessment ourselves. I think, again, producing recommended evidence-based options, again, that's as we gather and understand information and we can then reduce that. In terms of, there's the asset piece, which is quite a significant piece, and that's quite a significant piece of work, which I've advised that that's probably separate to this review. As part of our normal operations and financial reporting and accounting, we need to undertake those reviews, and I'll need to work with Nathan's group on undertaking those reviews. Looking at our asset policy, our asset settings, how we're going to manage our assets. There's the financial accounting aspect, and then there's the physical management of the assets that tie together. And again, that's work that we can do going forward. In terms of the financial position, again, my view is that we use the 23-24 as our base. We use the long-term financial model provided by LG Solutions. It's just how we can take the base and then how we can project forward. And in terms of work that's underway, we're undertaking the board to budget review, where we're looking to achieve savings through that process. That can then inform, we then need to move to develop the 25-26 budget, informed from that process and then informed by the priorities of council as well. So again, that's work that we need to undertake and need to do. Into the new year, as we get to undertake that work, because that'll have to occur in 25-26, as I've mentioned to that. Given, yes, I'm on board and I'm committed, we need to resource up the finance team. If I need to get some additional resources in to help us there, I will seek to do that. In terms of the long-term financial planning tool, as I say, we use the one provided by LG Solutions, but if we need to develop some further financial modelling, we can either look to do that in-house or maybe seek some assistance to do that going forward. So really I'm seeing, and I understand that when the motion was first put up, that council would probably not provide the level of information they require. That's now occurred, and then, you know, there's probably a 1, 2, 3 year improvement program that we need to undertake in the management of council. But as Councillor Carter said, we've got an unqualified audit report that's actually saying our financial numbers and what we're reporting, they use the term, are not materially misstated. So they're a true reflection of where we're at the 30th of June. And each year we will keep developing the long-term financial plan going forward. So I think from that original scope, you know, and the tightness of our budget, whether it would be a good use of council funds to undertake some work that we've actually got a lot of the elements of what we need to know already. It's just us bringing that together.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Councillor Rothwell.
See?
Yeah.
Oh, was I supposed to say that?
No.
Jason, I've got some ideas about council making some money
Yes.
through the RMCC council contract.
Yes.
Private works with their equipment.
Mhm.
Possible leasing of the tips.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. I think the council needs to run itself as a business
Yes.
and make a profit, reinvest that profit in our community. So if we can have a look at some of those ideas as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think yeah, that is good, and I did focus on the expenditure side, but it is where we can identify any revenue streams to help our position.
Councillor Rothwell, we will try and keep to the debate here, but your ideas are noted.
Yes.
We alarm any more departments of staff, okay? Look, councillors, I think particularly, if I can just make one small comment, I think that the audit office will be pleased that we're focusing on improving our handling of grants revenue. I think item 3 is a great move, and I think we've had a bit of a blind side in that department for a while, so I'm glad that that will be a focus as well. Councillors, do we have any further comments?
To add a verb to the fourth needs to be seek permission or seek approval from.
That council to seek agreement. Yeah, yes,
Some kind of
agreement from our contracting services to release the report, from the December 18 financial presentation. Excellent. Okay, councillors prepared to vote? Okay, all those in favour, the motion before you. We have councillors McGrath, Carter, Chari, Jones, Burgess and Rothwell. And Butler, sorry, and Councillor Butler. Those against? Councillor Cameron. The motion is carried. Councillors, that now concludes our items for discussion today. And we will now leave the live stream as we close the meeting.